Hey everyone, this is me at the end of the day after getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go and take part in a 9 kilometre hike starting at sunrise at one of our local beaches and going through the regional bushlands around it. Today was a really good day out there, and I think one of the things that I wanted to achieve in talking to everyone this afternoon is talking about what it's like to be a beginner all over again. I say that because over the years, Rowan and I have done a heap of hiking together. We're both really experienced day hikers. We've enjoyed hikes together and individually. My longest hike is 32 Ks. I then went to try and participate in a 35K hike, but due to health issues, I had to stop at the 28K mark. And that was a few years ago, and I actually stopped pretty much altogether for a while. I was so disappointed and I was really quite unwell. So I'm in the unique position of being both an experienced day hiker and starting as a beginner again. And it made me think of the tips that I would have liked when I was starting to begin with. And I think one of the most significant things to say is that everybody has to start somewhere. We can't all jump in and start with 35 Ks in a day. Even people who are really fit could struggle with that, because just because you're used to lots of walking or you're on your feet all the time or you use the gym doesn't mean that you're going to understand what it takes to hike, especially in bush or coastal areas around Australia. So I thought I'd just sort of quickly give a few do's and don'ts and tips on where to start and how to get yourself moving. The first thing I'd say is invest in decent shoes, and whether that's sneakers or running shoes, or whether it's hiking shoes, go and take the time to go into one of the local camping and hiking shops and have a look at the range they have, which will be different to what they'll be in a normal sports shop. You need to remember that in some of these places your feet might be getting wet, and you also need to remember that there'll sometimes be unstable terrain that you're walking on. And that leads me to the second point. Don't feel like it's a weakness to take a hiking pole or two if you need them. Because I have injury to my leg and my ankle that will cause problems for the rest of my life, I actually used a hiking pole today. That was just to give me some extra stability and support when I was going over some really rocky terrain. And then when we were coming downhill over that same terrain on the way back, it was an absolute lifesaver to have that extra support. The third thing I'll say is that, as I said earlier, you can't just jump in and start at the 35 Ks in a day, but you can build yourself up. So the way that I've been going is to start by making sure that I'm walking for a period every day. Some days I only manage 2 or 3 Ks, but some days I can get between 5 and 7 Ks in an evening walk. And the more often I do that, the easier it makes it when we go on a weekend hike. As I said, today was 9 Ks, only slightly longer than our last significant hike of 8 Ks, but it was much trickier terrain, and I was glad that my general fitness level had improved over the last few weeks to be able to do it and complete what I'd set out to do today. And I think there's other things too that you probably need to start thinking about adding in, but we can talk about that more later. Different equipment that you should have, safety equipment or gear, but the golden rule is always take water, always let somebody know where you're going. And these days there's lots of exercise apps that actually allow you to share a live location with someone. In some remote areas they won't work, but most of the areas around here, even though apparently we don't have the best signal, I could have stayed in touch with family and friends using that feature on an app. So they're just some startup tips for you. We can go into some of those areas in more depth later on, but yeah, that's my little bit on being a beginner hiker. Thanks.